shoot it?
I basically glue a beard to my face, and I'm ready to go. Inside the actor studio with Alexander Skarsgård. That's my process.
And your favorite curse word? And editing. Let's talk about editing. What changed in the film through editing?
Well, I got to work with one of the world's best editors, so that was an amazing experience. So I went to film school, basically. I worked with Andy Weisblum, who is now cutting Darren Aronofsky's Noah, and he's Darren and Wes Anderson's editor. And he came to make the East because he loved the script, and that was a great, every day going to work. We used to hang out with him. Yeah. He's a lovely man.
Did you actually, you went after him, or an agent suggested it?
Well, it was actually Brit who was like, who has cut the best female-driven movie in a long time? And we thought Black Swan. And I thought, I will never get this guy. And then he loved the script.
When you're working with Brit, you write together, you're a director, she's the actress, you kind of both know where you want the direction of the character to go. How's that on set?
Well, you know, when we're writing together, we're in the trenches together. We work every day together, and it starts out kind of embryonic, and it's really delicate, the ideas, you know, and you have to really trust the person you're working with, and you pass it back and forth, until it sort of grows, and they become full-fledged characters. And then, you know, we write the story. We spend months telling each other the story, and then we only spend about 5 or 6 weeks actually writing it, because we spent 8 months telling each other the story, and we know it inside and out. And then after that, we separate. I mean, once we get the financing, that takes a lot of work. But then we separate. Brit goes and prepares to play Sarah, and that takes a lot of her time, and that's private. And I prepare to direct the movie with, you know, my cinematographer and production designer and stuff. And we meet back on set, and Brit is very much with the other actors. And each of the actors is focusing on their characters. Alexander is Benji, Brit is Sarah, and so I'm just directing. So there isn't that much back and forth thing.
How about with you? What was that like working with Brit, who conceived the story?
Well, what was so lovely, and I felt that in our first meeting that you guys, I felt so invited. It was definitely like, a collaborative process. It wasn't like, oh, we wrote this is our baby, we're holding on to it, we just want you to show up and say the lines.
You want to get that?
That's awesome. No, so I felt immediately, and through the process of finding Benji and working on the relationship between Benji and Sarah, but even on the date when we were shooting it, I felt that Zal is a director who loves to be surprised, and who shows up on set very well prepared, but also is excited when something that wasn't planned happens, when something unexpected happens, when we go into, and it's wonderful to see Zal behind the camera, because he's like, oh yes, and it might be crap, you know, and it might not end up in the movie, but it's wonderful as an actor when you feel that support from your director, a director who wants you to not play it safe and to have fun with it and take risks, and working with Brit. I mean, yes, she wrote the script, but I felt there were no egos involved at all. We would get together it was a phenomenal script to start with, but we would still get together on weekends and at their place and just sit on the floor of Zal's bedroom. There was like piles of clothes from like an anarchist collective down in New Orleans.
Yeah, a lot of the clothes I sent the guy who worked with me 5 hours down to New Orleans, and he would rent clothes from real anarchists, buy the bag full, and then come and dump them out into my bedroom, and then we were sitting there working on the script.
They're actually true capitalists, aren't they? Because we rented it.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
business. Suddenly they were like, not anarchists anymore. They're like, yes, $200, please. Send a check. But it was those Sundays were amazing, because we sat and we had a scene that was already great, but we just like played around with it and said like, well,
but it wasn't great. Alex made it great. That was the beauty of it, is that I really trust that he is Benji, so he knew better than we ever did, and that was awesome. I mean, And there was not only no ego on Brit's part, there was no ego on your part. I mean, there were times where you cut out monologues for yourself, and you're like, it's in there. We don't have to say this stuff.
But it's a dream as an actor when you get to work with a director and actors like that are so open to that, and so you're so invited. And there's no worse feeling than when you don't feel that support on set. When you don't, because then you play it safe and you feel like, all right, I'm just here to please my director. It's great when you feel confident and when you feel like, we're all in it together and we're having fun. And if you're terrible one take, it's okay. We all pushed each other to take it further.
Were there any moments that were created on set that made you change any of the direction of one of the scenes?
I mean, every day. We were constantly finding it every day. But we also shot this movie in 26 days, so there just wasn't that much time. So,
It's an impressive film for 26 days.
Yeah, well, that's because we had a very serious set. I mean, the beauty of the fact that everyone got along was that everyone came ready to work, and we worked very hard for 14 hours a day.
Was there a favorite day that you had?
Day 2 was pretty nice.
What happened on day 2?
Day 2 is when Alexander bathed Brit.
Well, and there's also, there was something, we also shot a scene of us in the mud, doing like a natural, organic spa, I guess, and next to the lake. There's just this.
You guys never got to see that scene.
It didn't make the final cut, but we shot those 2 scenes on that day, and it was something about, because it was so early on, it was day 2, like I said, and something very spiritual about that, wasn't it? Like, we all felt like, it felt different in a way. We were all in it together, and it's kind of, a wonderful feeling when you're all there together, and you're holding each other, and just, we were just laying around in the sun talking for hours.
But also you guys formed a bond that day. I mean, the water, we went down to Shreveport to shoot in Shreveport because we thought the water would be warm in November, but it was freezing. And so Brit was shaking in the water, and Alex was really worried about her. And he yelled at me. I was, not as far away. It's like the seats over there. And he yelled at me, he's like, Zal, she's shaking. And I was like, she wrote it. She can stay in the water. But that was the level of care. It was day 2. Brit had come just from another movie, so she'd been there 4 days, I think. It was day 2, and Alex was already so protective of her. I mean, I loved the way everybody cared for each other. It was really beautiful.